Welcome to the channel, Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, sitting by the beautiful Brisbane water at Gosford on the Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. One of the biggest things that you could do for yourself and for your partner is be the best version of yourself. And how do we work that out? By what standards? By whose standards? What does that mean? What's he trying to say? What do these people mean by that? Well, you can start by your mental health, which is the big thing at the moment. Number one, look after your mind. Number two, rest your mind. Number three, don't put things into your mind that are going to alter it. Number four, respect your mind by the way that you think. So mental health is massive. It's a massive thing now. Then there's what you eat. Your body starts with what you eat and what you don't eat. Then there's exercise. Do you exercise? Or are you deconstructive? Are you doing things to your body that are just wrecking it? Because you will wreck it. That's just how it is. The body is wreckable, and if you choose to wreck it, then that's up to you. But it doesn't have to be that way. And then there's rest. You need to rest. So there's things that we need to resolve with ourselves. And I guess if you can't find resolve with yourself, how are you going to find resolve with somebody else? If you're not prepared to come to a resolve with yourself and within yourself, then you're not going to come to a resolve with anybody else. It's just not going to happen. Because everything starts and finishes with ourselves. Everything. Some people aren't aware of themselves. If you're not aware of yourself, then you're not going to do what you need to do for yourself. You're just not going to. That's not how it's going to play out. That's not how it's going to work. You're just not going to be interested enough in yourself. And if you're not interested in yourself, then how are you going to be interested in anybody else, really, properly? You're not, because you're not interested in yourself. If you're not looking after yourself, you're not going to care about anybody else looking after themselves. We're all going to just float along. We're just all going to float along, and however it turns out, it turns out. History and what we've learned from that doesn't mean anything. Being sick and what we've learned from that doesn't mean anything. No, we all think we're invincible, but I got news for you. You're not. If you don't believe me, ask the people in the cemetery. I'm sure they'll give you the same answer as many of you do, people that need to resolve things, and that's nothing. Too many people are doing nothing. And guess what they're ending up with? Nothing. You can only escape the consequences of reckless living for so long. You can think it's a joke, and you can have all your spite and resentment and think you're doing things to harm somebody that you've left behind or don't like, but you're really only harming yourself. And if you're around people that are bringing you harm, walk away. If you're swimming in the ocean or in the bay, and if you're lucky you see there's a shark there and it doesn't get you, right? Because you don't see sharks coming, viewers. They just take you. And that's what happens to a lot of you people in relationships. You know you're swimming with sharks, a pack of sharks and they're trying to get you and you're just out of their grasp, but they will get you eventually if you hang around long enough. But what happens to a shark without food? Dies. So if you remove yourself, guess what? You're going to starve those sharks. And what happens to a shark that's hungry? Just goes and feeds somewhere else, doesn't it? It's just going to put its attention somewhere else, which is of no consequence to you. And guess what happens to sharks? They end up being attacked by other sharks or killer whales. It's funny when somebody does something wrong to somebody and then they meet somebody who does something 10 times worse to them. You could be an alcoholic and you meet an alcoholic weed addict, but they stay latent until they've got you attached. You could be a dope addict and meet a cocaine addict. The next thing you're on cocaine, getting smashed in the bedroom and just couldn't care less. That's how these people end up. They don't care less about themselves, so how are they going to care less about any? And it just goes deeper and deeper until somebody dies. How many parents at the moment do you think are coming home and finding children OD'd and sick and unwell because of their reckless habits, which a lot of them learn from their parents? Just reckless, senseless addictions. How many what are supposed to be strong young men are sitting around going, I've jumped on the mental health bandwagon and it's all self-abuse. Therefore they can't find their way out of the trouble that they're in because they're doing it to themselves. They've been taught that, they've been culturalised that you're allowed to have mental health because you're an addict. Instead of getting off the shit and getting rid of your mental problems and facing yourself. People don't want to face themselves. They're hiding from themselves. So how are they going to face anybody? A lot of these people shouldn't be in relationships. They just leave a trail of mess, like a cigarette ashtray full of butts behind them. They're messy, they're grubby, they're hiding behind their victim mentality. They're breeding it, they're sharing it, they're encouraging it, they're medicating, they're nicotine addicts, drug addicts, the drug of their choice. I find it funny how someone will be an alcoholic and not like weed smokers, and then someone will be a cocaine addict and not like fucking alcoholics, and they're all the same. They're all doing the same damage, just in different ways. And you can stand alongside these people, but they won't stand alongside you. They're weak. They're vulnerable. They build resentment and jump the fence. Find somebody else to soothe their resentment with, and then they get resentment towards them, or they get ditched by them. They end up in a vicious cycle of being used and abused. Can't find love, so they just park themselves with their pets and drugs and alcohol and tablets, and if they're lucky, a budgerigar or a canary that they let out of the cage for an hour or so every day. Reckless carelessness towards oneself to end up by themselves. And you just keep trying to be the best version of yourself. Keep trying, don't give up. Don't give in. Don't surrender. Just watch. And walk away. When people aren't doing the right thing by you, walk away. You know it's coming. If they're not doing the right thing by themselves, they're not going to do the right thing by you. I mean, just face it. Just face it. It's coming. People lie. They cheat. They think they can deceive. And they do deceive. Doesn't matter how honest you are, how available you are. The end always starts with unresolved. You know if somebody's not resolving an issue that you need resolved, that's fair, that's not unfair, that's fair within a relationship, and they're not doing it, you know the end's coming. Detach immediately. Jettison the attachment. They won't know. They're not aware of themselves. If people are over 20-year-old and they don't know how to have a relationship, a proper relationship, you're in with a fool, an idiot. If they're 30, 40, 50-year-old, they're going to end up with nothing. They're not going to admit that or accept that, but it's true. It's just true. Past behaviour predicts future behaviour. We can all blame who we like. At the end of the day, guess who we're going to have to blame? Only ourselves, our silly, stupid selves. So for those of you that are blaming people and you think it's okay and it's right, but you're only kidding yourself, the sand in the hourglass is running out. You better work out what your games are and where you need to be serious, like the rest of us have and are doing on a day-to-day basis, or you're going to get to 30, 40 and 50 and be left behind. Think about that the next time you have your first drink, the next time you light a durry, the next time you spark up the weed, the next time you have a snort. Yeah, the sand in the hourglass is running out. And you've had every opportunity to fix who you are and be what God has created you to be, and you chose not to. You chose. Let the wicked forsake his way, the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to the Lord and to our God, and he will abundantly pardon you. The choice is yours. Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison. Bye.